Welcome, friends and family. Happy 80th birthday to Ken Marshall, my father. This is the Ken Marshall 80th birthday spectacular. So glad you can join us. Let's get started here. A lot of people want to know more about Ken and what he's been doing the last 80 years. So we're going to do a little review. We've gathered all your favorite friends to celebrate your memories and great stories. The whole crowd. This was Ken, just a week ago, feeling tired, feeling old. Here he is in his living room, waiting for soup. But when he heard there would be a special presentation in his honor, including a crab feast, his interest perked up, and he began to feel once again like his usual charming self. Where did it all begin? We're going to try to make a sketch of this mysterious man, a guy who has a lot of angles. When it comes to aging, my father Ken has nothing to worry about. Age is on his side. He comes from a long line of very, very old people. These are his grandparents, Josephine and Frank Marshall. This picture is from their high school yearbook. These are his aunts, his father's sisters. This is also from their high school yearbook. So, yeah, where did it all begin? It's a great question. Let's look back. There he is, little Kenny in the left corner with his parents and three sisters in some Bronx backyard. Let's get a closer look at where he grew up. So, my father, he's turning 80. People are going to want to know where his story began. So, let's just look at the map here. Let's get back here. It's been so long. All the names of the neighborhoods have changed. So he was. So this is, let's see, that's Queens. Can't stand it. And Takistan. Then just over the river, we got the Potatoes and El Quarantine, right? Because we got to get over to the Bronx. Now he wasn't in Patooey. He wasn't in the Yanks. He wasn't that deep. He was more East Bronx. He was in the Fed. He was in the yeah. He wasn't in not so bad. He was in the Fed section, Bryan Avenue and Ward Avenue. So kind of somewhere up in there. That's where it began. That's where all the trouble started. All right, so let's pick things back up here from this Bronx backyard with his three sisters and his parents. And then at Christmas, his dad would rent instruments, saxophone, guitar. All the children would get different instruments. My dad actually took a liking to the banjo, believe it or not. Here he is auditioning for Bob Dylan. A brief brush with greatness there. Look at that. He was closest to his elusive and mysterious Uncle John. There was two Uncle Johns actually. This is Uncle John Iwinski, who lived under the Tri-Bar Bridge, and he had kind of a hypnotic power over the family, very, very imposing, and he wasn't always in the mood for visitors. My dad tried to bring a friend over, and Uncle John said that you cannot stay, you are not welcome in my house. But if you got him on the right topic, he'd talk up a storm. You just had to just had to pick the right thing. My dad was always so good at, drawing people out and finding things that they were interested in talking about. There was another Uncle John, the Uncle John Seiler on my grandmother's side of the family, on his mom's side of the family. Here's Uncle John Seiler. He lived in upstate New York. This Uncle John taught my dad everything about vampires and westerns. We didn't get to see him that much, though. In spite of having access to the best teachers at the time, believe it or not, Ken struggled with math at first. At first, the famous engineer. Even later in life, he occasionally got stumped, but his pal Sal was always nearby to check his proofs. There he is, checking his proofs. His mom got him the Sham outline, though, and that just made a world difference. Things really started to click, and he was literally the top of his class. There he is. There was no stopping him. Some of you know my dad as a great fine artist. These are some of his drawings from his mature, what I call his mature period. His Mae West, his classic Mae West, and a more recent Medusa upon my request for a project I was doing. This is one from his not so mature period. He did show promise early on. Um, Images of old Wilbur are unavailable, still locked in the eaves. That is his masterwork from childhood, a cartoon called Old Wilbur, in which Wilbur is in the woods. He gets chased by a bear. He goes up the tree and falls asleep. Hopefully, we will be able to get access to that. We couldn't get it this time, but maybe we'll have it ready for next year. My dad's first portrait of his father carving the Thanksgiving turkey. There he is. Very enthusiastic. Thanksgiving is still the most important holiday in Dad's family. Here they are preparing at Aunt Judy's house, I think. I think this is the newer house. This doesn't look like Maplewood. And here's Ken and John Hurley singing loudly at John's house so that it can be heard at Aunt Judy's house. They're not allowed in the main room. So we have where did it all begin? Yeah, the guys. We got to talk a little bit about kind of my dad's career path, right? The Sperry group. What led up to the Sperry? To understand his career path, it was really this trip to the United Nations with his mother that was absolutely career defining. It was at this trip where he fell in love with green glass buildings. All I want is to work in a building with green glass, he told his mother. And there you go. And that's why Sperry. That's it. It's just the green glass. But it wasn't easy at first. He had a couple of difficult bosses, and he didn't always have the best choice in friends. Teddy Oberman, for instance. My dad would sometimes tell his wife, Joyce, to run right home and start cooking. I'm bringing a friend over for supper. But it was the Sperry friends, it was the guys that got him through the tough times. Here they are, the guys. The 1970s brought some strikes over at Sperry, and my dad was forced to take to the streets. My dad, to his credit, he didn't like to make waves and always tried to understand both sides. He really tried to bring the two parties together and really be sympathetic to everyone's cause. But when he heard that Sperry was changing their name again, that was it. I mean, Sperry went through Sperry. They became Unisys. They became Panamax. Unisys again, L'Oreal, Lockheed Martin. They were a McDonald's, I think, for a couple of weeks during renovations. He always got mugs. My dad always got mugs as gifts for friends and family. He wasn't going to cross off one more name. So he stormed into the board meeting and told the chairman, look at him, he told the chairman off. He said, "You got some crust, Johnson, changing our name again." Then he turned to this poor guy and called him a fool. He didn't even know him. He just said, he turned to looked at him and said, "You're a fool." We were very proud of my dad. He spoke up. He finally spoke up, and we knew a new chapter was coming. One day, over a few beers, he got an idea. Ken said, I'm going to incorporate. I'm going to become a corporation. Ken Marshall Incorporated. It grew and it grew. He had factories in Akron, headquarters in Chicago. He invested, then reinvested, then he reinvested. But where was his new office going to be? He needed a place for himself. The EAB Plaza in Uniondale, of course, the best green glass buildings on Long Island, no question. He worked here for years, no one knew. And that's how he made such great time getting home. But all things must pass, right? So the 2008 stock market crash came. This was a confusing time for Ken. It was a real low point. He was thinking about becoming a singer or something. He tried to move back in with Uncle John. You can't stay, Uncle John said. You're not welcome in my house. So he called up Hurley, John Hurley. Hey, I got some new songs. Hurley was willing at first, but Dad's chord charts proved too frustrating. He lost patience. You see, Hurley, he is free. He's off the charts and refused to be saddled to a tiresome duo. So he got back on the phone and he called some of the old Sperry crew. This is when he formed the guys. They did song and dance numbers, a one show only, pay what you will spectacular at the Plattdeutsch. Ken and Joyce. Now let's examine their backstory, right? No history is complete without how they started. So my dad was a waiter at the Plattdeutsch. You can see him getting taking Joyce's order right here. He met Joyce. Joyce invited him to go parasailing the following week. And the rest is history. They haven't been back to Earth since. My father's generosity knows no end. For instance, when he heard that Joan Crawford was having eye trouble, he gladly donated his own eyes during the famous New York blackout. Look at that. An eye, literally an eye for an eye, two eyes for two eyes. He was never too proud to ask for help. I always admired that about my dad. He didn't, if he needed help, he would ask for help. Here, John Bruno is showing him how to work a cell phone. You know how? Ken would ask. He was always willing to drive up to Buffalo in spite of the weather and the traffic. I'm grateful to Dad for so many things, most of which I can't remember, but here are a few. He introduced me to the piano and the guitar and basic musicianship. He taught me first strike tennis. I've only beaten him a couple of times. He raised me on classics, the Uncle Floyd show during the day, and Count Floyd at night. We watched only the best cinema. Deadly Eyes, Chud from the 80s. He taught me humility. He taught me how to enter a room. He taught me how to cook, and that if you turn the oven up full, it will cook in twice the time. He taught me basic repairs and how to call for takeout. He taught me how to defend myself. He would always say, show me your stance. Will you let me see your stance? You got to know how to defend yourself. He taught me how to grin and bear visits with relatives. He taught me how to get my picture took. And the importance of having a good headshot. During the gas shortage crisis, he taught me how to make gasoline at home. Very, very resourceful. He took us on some great family trips in the high school years. Remember Disney World? We went to the Epcot Center, right? Where we were instructed to listen to the land or else. Remember that goofy ride, Listen to the Land? Elisa got a kick out of that. There was the tour guide would tell us a little bit about agriculture. And then she would go, now everyone listen to the land. And then the little song would come on. Great stuff. Dad, you taught me to keep cool when we took a wrong turn. And it was Elisa who informed us that we are going to Miami. My father let me court my future wife, Becky, right there in his living room. Look at us. Look at us courting right there on Van Buren Avenue. He helped throw a terrific 40th birthday party for me. So, Daddy O, on the days when you feel more like this, just remember the great friends and family who love you. Giorgio Arcuri, Patty and Sal Caniglio. All the memories and laughs we've had with family. The Julie and George's house parties. There we go. There he is on the left there, raising a beer. Your wild and crazy kids, of course. Your goofy grandkids. And your wonderful wife, of course. Happy birthday, Ken Marshall, the sweetest guy in the world. Here's to many more blessed years. Happy birthday, Dad. Have a great, great one.